Welcome viewers at home. You're welcome to the next segment of Learn at Home program. My name is Aparanta Emmanuel, your basic science teacher. Today I shall be teaching BJS3 a very peculiar topic, that the skeletal system. The skeletal system. And we shall be looking at parts of the skeletal system. When we talk about the skeletal system, we are talking about the hard parts of the body, because the body is made up of three major parts, three major components. We have the fleshy parts, we have the liquid parts, and we have the hard parts. The liquid part, which is the blood, and we have the fleshy parts, which is the flesh, and we also have the hard parts, which is the bones. The first question we should ask is, what is the skeleton? What is the skeleton? The skeleton is that system of the body that controls the framework of a given body in an organism. The system that controls the framework of a given body in an organism. That is the framework of the body. Now, this framework of the body is made up of chitin's or is made up of bones. That is the skeleton. The skeleton can be a component of chitin's and it can be a component of bones. That is it. It can either exist externally and it can also exist internally in an organism. Wherever it is found, it is referred to as the skeleton. When we look at the skeleton, the skeleton is classified into two. We have two major groups of the skeleton that is found in the external and the skeleton that is found in the internal. The external skeleton is known as the exoskeleton. That is the component of chitins, and it's made up of chitins. While the internal skeleton is known as the endoskeleton, and it is made up of bones. The endoskeleton that is made up of bones is mainly found in vertebrate organisms, example man, and that shall be our concentration. Internal skeletons. Our body is so designed with a framework that our bones carries the shape, carries the weight, as well as the protection of the tissues of the body. Look at this. The external skeleton and the internal skeleton. The external skeleton is found in organisms, mainly insects, giving them their shape, but in the outside. This is a component of the chitins. A component we refer to as the chitins. That is the external skeleton. But the internal skeleton is found mainly in vertebrate organisms, higher component animals. That is the internal skeleton. Example, the dogs, the birds, the man, snakes, and other organisms. Those are components of the internal skeleton, and that is the endoskeleton. Now, when we look at the skeleton, we say the skeleton provides protections for the internal tissues of the body. It also provides muscle attachments, as well as bringing the bones together. That is in the endoskeleton. Whereas the exoskeleton is found in the outside to provide the total protection for the system of the organism. The exoskeleton is found in the outside to provide the total protection for the organism that is in the outside body. It's not like the internal skeleton that provides protection for only the internal tissues or internal organs of the body. The exoskeleton provides total protection for the whole components of the body of the organism. The external skeleton is made up of chitin and is found mainly in insects, while the internal skeleton is made up of bones and it is found in mammals. Components of the skeleton. The skeleton include bones. That's the number one. It's made up of bones. Number two, it's made up of cartilages. Number three, it has ligaments. Number four, it has tendons. And number five, it has joints. These are components of the skeletal system. When we talk about the bones are the hard parts of the system that provide protections for the internal organs of the body. The bones also provide muscle attachments, attaching muscles to the bones. We also have the cartilage. The cartilage is a soft tissue that provides synovial fluid that brings about movement at a joint, easy movement at a joint. That is the cartilage. We also have the ligaments. The ligament is a fiber that brings about the attachment of two bones at a position, at a joint. That is the ligament. We also have the tendons. The tendons is that part that brings attachment of the muscles to the bone. That is the tendons. Then we have the joints, the position where movement is created in the skeleton. All these are components of the skeleton. Now, the skeleton are made up of some composite minerals that makes the bone to be hardened. And one of these minerals is calcium. Another of this mineral is phosphorus. These are the two major minerals that forms the skeletal system, or that are found in the skeletal system, that brings about the hardness of the bones. Then in the skeleton, there are 206 bones in the skeleton. From the head to the toe, there are about 206 bones in an average man. Bones of the skeleton. The bones of the skeleton are divided into two. We have the axial skeleton and we have the appendicular skeleton. We have the axial skeleton and we have the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton is that part of the body that ranges from the head to the thorax and to the hip girdle. That is the axial skeleton. And the appendicular skeleton is that part of the body that is made up of the limbs and the limb girdle. That is the forearm and the legs. Those are the appendicular skeleton. And we're going to look at them one at a time. Let's start with the axial skeleton. This is the skeletal system. Let's start with the axial skeleton. The axial skeleton. The axial skeleton made up of the skull. The skull is the bone of the head. The bone of the head. That is the skull. Also made up of the bones of the vertebrate column. There are about 5 bones of the vertebrate column, ranging from the first bone of the neck to the last bone in the waist. That is 5 bones of the vertebrate column. We have the first bone, 7 bones of the neck, which is known as the cervical bones, the thoracic bone, the lumbar bone, the sacrum, and the caudal bones. These 5 bones gives us the vertebrate column. Then when you come to the shoulder, you have the shoulder girdle, which is made up of 2 major bones. In the shoulder girdle, you have the clavicle, which is the collarbone, and you also have the scapula at the back. You can touch it there, you see it, a wide bone looking like a board. That is the scapula, that is the bone of the back. The scapula and the clavicle form the shoulder girdle, giving 2 bones there. When you jump down there, you meet the rib cage. These are the long bones of the rib, joining the chest. Yes, you see the rib cage. That is the rib cage. And in the middle, in the front, you meet the sternum. That is the bone of the breast. The sternum. In the front of the chest, the bone of the breast. Then at the back, the rib cage joins to what we call the thoracic bone at the back. Now, you now have the last bone, which is the lumbar bone. As we proceed, so on the skull, you have the maxilla. You also have the mandible. The mandible is the lower bone of the jaw, while the maxilla is the upper bone of the jaw. So the maxilla and the mandible are both bones of the jaw. Both the maxilla, the mandible, and the skull forms the bone of the head. That is the axial skeleton. This is it. This is the axial skeleton. Then we also have the appendicular skeleton. The appendicular skeleton. So it's made up of the limbs. That is the forearms and the limb girdles. The limbs. Starting from the hand, the bone, the longer bone of the hand, which is in the upper hand, is one referred to as the humerus. The bone of the upper hand, the humerus. We also have in the lower arm, which is the radius and the ulna in the lower arm of the hand, the radius and the ulna. And when you come down, you meet the carpals at the wrist, then you meet the phalanges at the fingers. The phalanges gives the finger, the bones of the finger. Then you also have the bone of the thigh. That is the long bone of the leg, of the upper leg. And it is known as the femur. That's the bone of the femur. That's the longest bone in the body. The longest bone in the body. Then at the knee, there is a small cap that is rolling, which is referred to as the patella. Is a bone of the knee, referred to as the patella. That is bone of the knee. And when you come to the lower leg, you have the tibia and the fibula. There are two bones in the lower leg. These two bones in the lower leg gives us the tibia and the fibula. These are the bones of the lower leg. Then when you meet the ankle, you have the tarsus, then the foot, you have the metatarsus, and then on the toe of the legs, you also have the phalanges. Now, you see that we have two phalanges in the body. We have phalanges in the hand, we also have phalanges at the toe. The phalanges in the hand and the phalanges at the toe simply means a claw. Phalanges simply means a claw. So we have a claw in the hand and we also have a claw at the foot that enable the body to pick something. So the phalanges helps in picking things. It's the bone of the hand and it's also the bone of the toe. That's it. We have been able to see the bones. The question is, what is a skeleton? What is a skeleton? It's all right. Mention the two types of skeleton. I'm sure you're going through that. You have your biros and papers. You're going through that. What are the components of these skeletons? What are the components of these skeletons? Mention 5 bones of the axial skeleton. We say there are two types of skeleton, the axial and the appendicular skeleton. The 5 bones of the axial skeleton. Write any 4 bones of the appendicular skeleton. Yes, I'm sure you have done that. Very good. First, we have seen the skeleton, the bones of the skeleton. I will say there are 206 bones of the skeleton. I will say that the skeleton is classified into 2. We have the external skeleton and we have the internal skeleton. The external skeleton is known as the exoskeleton, while the internal skeleton is known as the endoskeleton. We have seen that. I will say the bones of the head, the bones ranges from the head to the toe. We started with the skull. We looked at the cervical bones. We looked at the thoracic bones. We looked at the lumbar bones. And we look at the sacral and caudal bones of the vertebrate column. We jump down to the clavicle, that's the bones of the collarbone. We also looked at the bones of the scapula in the back. We said the clavicle and the scapula gives us what we call the bones of the pectoral girdle, that's the shoulder girdle. We also looked at the bones of the ribs. We say in the frontage of the rib that we have what we call the sternum, which is also known as the breastbone, joining the ribs to the back with the thoracic, forming a curve, which we refer to as the rib cage. And when we jump down, we say we have the pelvic girdle. Now, those are the bones of the axial skeleton. We also looked at the bones of the appendicular skeleton, where we looked at the humerus in the hand, we look at the radius and ulna of the lower hand, we also look at the carpals of the wrist, and we look at the metacarpals of the palm and the phalanges of the fingers. We also go down to looking at the bones of the leg, We started with the femur, which is the bone of the upper leg. We looked at the petal, which is the bone on the knee. We look at the bones of the lower leg, where we have the tibia and the fibula on the lower leg. Then we also have the bones of the tarsus in the ankle, the metatarsus in the foot, and we also have the phalanges in the toes. We have been able to look at all these bones, and we said the bones are classified into the axial and the appendicular skeleton. We also said that there are 5 components of these bones. We said that the skeleton is made up of 5 major components. That number 1 component is the bones. We have the cartilage, we have the ligaments, tendons, and joints. And I said that the bones is the hard part of the body. The cartilage is a soft tissue that brings about synovial movements of these bones. We said the ligament is a structure that binds 2 bones together at a joint, while the tendons is a structure that attach the muscles to the bones, and the joint is a structure that brings about movement of the bones. So all this we have been able to see. I will leave you with these assignments to do at home. Draw and label the skeleton on a cardboard paper. You draw and label the skeleton on a cardboard paper. While you're doing this drawing and labeling, make sure you are also studying it. Study the components of the bones of the body. I will leave you with this for now. You stay safe, and catch you same time, same station, and bye for now.
Thank you.